My name is Rachel Morgan, and for most of my 32 years, I have perfected the art of appearing unshakable. From the corner office of a 26-floor Manhattan tower, the city looks like a living constellation of glass and neon. People say the view is worth a small fortune. To me, it's a daily reminder of how far I've climbed and of what I refuse to forget. This morning, the silk sleeve of my ivory blouse whispers against the edge of my desk as I reach for the buzzing phone. A soft vibration, steady and insistent, cuts through the low hum of traffic below. I glance at the caller ID and feel a chill climb my spine. Morgan Family Cabin. I haven't saved that number in years. The phone remembers it for me. The name is a ghost. It pulls me backward, through polished conference tables, past award plaques that bear my signature, straight to the single memory I have fought hardest to bury, a narrow mountain trail at sunset, the taste of fear sharp as pine sap on my tongue, and the words that cleaved my life in two. You're not our real child. The phone keeps trembling in my palm. My reflection in the office glass looks calm, almost detached, but inside I'm already 6 years old again, lost, breathless, waiting for parents who never came back. I press accept, though my hand trembles like the girl I used to be. The trail smelled of crushed pine needles and cold stone that evening, the kind of crisp mountain air that bites at a child's lungs. I remember how my sneakers, white with pink laces, scuffed over rocks slick from melting snow. My mother's denim jacket swayed ahead of me like a blue flag, and my father's heavy boots crunched in rhythm. We had been hiking for hours, the sun already folding behind the ridge. "Can we rest now?" I called, my 6-year-old voice almost swallowed by the wind. Neither of them slowed. My father finally turned, his face half-shadowed, eyes unreadable. "Rachel," he said, his tone flat as the slate beneath our feet, "there's something you need to understand." I waited for the smile that usually followed serious pronouncements. It never came. "You're not our real child." The words landed like a stone in my chest. I froze, unable to breathe. My mother kept her gaze fixed on the trail, as if the jagged horizon held answers she couldn't give. What do you mean?" I whispered. "You'll be fine," my father said. "Someone will find you." Then, with the finality of a door slamming, they turned. Their figures receded into the thickening dusk, two silhouettes swallowed by the trees. "Mom?" My voice cracked.
"Dad."
Only the hiss of wind through pine answered back. Panic roared in my ears. I stumbled after them, my small legs burning, but the trail split and twisted like a cruel puzzle. I chose the left path, then doubted myself and veered right, until every turn looked the same. Shadows stretched long and lean, the scent of wet earth mixed with the metallic tang of fear on my tongue. My hands shook as I clutched the tiny silver locket around my neck, Grandma June's gift, given on my last birthday. "For courage," she'd whispered when she fastened it. I pressed the locket so hard it left a crescent mark in my palm. The cold metal steadied me enough to keep moving. A single beam of light pierced the dark, faint, bobbing. A man's voice followed. "Hey there. You okay?" A park ranger emerged, flashlight cutting a halo through the night. He knelt to my level, eyes warm beneath his wide-brimmed hat. "You're safe now," he said gently. "Let's get you to the station." I wanted to tell him everything, but only one question broke free. "Will they come back?" He hesitated, then wrapped his coat around my shoulders. "Right now," he said, "what matters is you." The coat smelled of cedar and campfire. It became my first shelter. People assume that healing is a gentle upward climb. Mine felt more like a scramble, scraped knees hidden beneath borrowed clothes and a heart patched together with Grandma June's quiet strength. After that night on the mountain, she took me in without hesitation. Her bungalow in Flagstaff smelled of cinnamon and old books, the kind of place where silence meant comfort, not danger. She never pressed for details. Instead, she slid a plate of warm cornbread across the table and said, "We start from here, Rachel, not from them." Those words became the scaffolding of my life. Through high school, I worked every shift I could get: diner waitress, grocery cashier, even the late-night desk clerk at a budget motel. Between shifts, I devoured library books on business and finance the way other kids binged TV shows. The locket never left my neck. Each time doubt crept in, when tips were thin or exhaustion blurred the page, I'd close my fingers around its smooth silver surface and hear Grandma June's voice. We start from here. At 21, I won a scholarship to Arizona State. I majored in marketing and minored in grit, or so it felt. My professors called me laser-focused, but they didn't see the nights I cried into my pillow, convinced that no one with my past could belong in those lecture halls. During my junior year, I met Caroline Watts, a visiting entrepreneur who gave a guest lecture on building socially responsible brands. She stayed after class, asking about my ideas for sustainable outdoor gear, products that could protect both hikers and the environment. Her interest lit something inside me. "Your concept is fresh," she said, handing me her card. "If you're serious, call me. We'll talk funding." I was terrified, but I called. Caroline became my mentor, not just in business, but in life. She taught me how to pitch investors, negotiate contracts, and, when necessary, walk away from deals that smelled like compromise. The first product line, weatherproof jackets with built-in emergency beacons, sold out within months. A regional chain picked it up, then a national retailer. By 26, I'd co-founded Northlight Outdoor, and Forbes ran a profile calling me the woman who made the mountains safer. I kept the article folded in a drawer instead of framing it. Success felt like something I needed to protect, not display. When old classmates posted glossy updates on social media, I responded with polite, bland comments. I didn't share the details of my growing net worth, the patents in my name, or the fact that Caroline and I had just opened a Manhattan headquarters. Most of all, I avoided any mention of my family. Occasionally an email from an unknown address would surface, one of them fishing for news, maybe guilt leaking through the years, but I never replied. Silence, I discovered, can be its own kind of power. I wore the locket every day, its silver surface worn smooth for my touch. It was more than a keepsake now. It was proof that the mountain trail hadn't broken me. It had forged me. The call came on a drizzly Thursday afternoon, the kind of gray New York day when clouds lean low enough to brush the skyline. I was reviewing design prototypes in our glass-walled conference room when my assistant slipped in, her brow creased. "There's a couple in the lobby asking for you," she said. "They say they're your parents." For a heartbeat, the world narrowed to the quiet hiss of rain against the window. My chest tightened, but I forced my voice steady. "Send them up." Caroline, across the table, raised an eyebrow. I gave a quick nod, our silent signal that I could handle this. Minutes later, the elevator doors opened with a soft chime. They stepped out, older, of course. My father's hair was shot through with gray. My mother's shoulders had lost their rigid pride. Yet the sight of them sent a sharp echo through me, like the sudden smell of smoke from a long-dead fire. "Rachel," my mother said, her voice trembling. We found you." I kept my posture easy, one hand resting lightly on the back of a leather chair. "You found me," I repeated, as if testing the words. My father's eyes darted around the room, the sweeping view of the East River, the wall of framed press features, the prototype gear displayed like art. A flicker of recognition crossed his face when he spotted the Forbes cover, "The woman who made the mountains safer." "We didn't know where you'd gone," he said finally. "We made mistakes." I let the silence stretch until the rain against the windows became a steady drumbeat. Caroline entered quietly, a supportive presence, then lingered at the edge of the room. "What do you want?" I asked. My voice carried the calm weight of years. My mother swallowed hard. "We need help. The cabin taxes. We're losing it. We thought maybe you could." Her plea dissolved into a whisper. A dozen memories surged, pine needles biting into my palms, their backs turning into dusk. But I stayed still, the locket cool against my skin. Caroline broke the quiet with a measured tone. "Perhaps you should know who Rachel is now." I turned slightly toward the display wall. "Northlight Outdoor," I said, letting the words settle. "I co-founded it. We employ over 300 people. Our emergency beacon jackets? They've saved lives in places like that mountain trail you left me on. Their eyes widened, shock flickering like lightning. I own this company, I continued. This office. And the patents on every product you see. My father blinked rapidly, as if trying to reconcile the girl he abandoned with the woman standing before him. We had no idea, he stammered. That's because I didn't tell you, I said, the edges of my voice sharp but not cruel. You forfeited the right to know the moment you walked away. My mother's eyes filled, a tear slipping down her cheek. We were wrong, she whispered. We were scared. Your birth mother. There were complications we didn't know how to explain. We thought. She stopped, the excuse collapsing under its own weight. I held her gaze, feeling the steady beat of my heart, the cool press of the locket against my collarbone. This success, I said quietly, came from the very night you tried to erase me. That mountain trail didn't break me. It built me. Silence thickened until only the rain spoke. My father lowered his head, the sound of surrender quieter than any apology. I stepped closer, not out of pity, but certainty. This is who I am now, I said, each word deliberate. Whether you stay in my life depends on the choices you make next, not on the blood we share. For a long moment no one spoke. The rain softened to a misty percussion, like the distant roll of a snare drum. My parents, these two people who had once left me to the mountain's mercy, stood in the center of my conference room, small against the sweep of floor-to-ceiling glass. I drew a slow breath and let my voice carry the weight of the years. If you've come here only for money, you should leave now, I said evenly. I can write a check, but it won't heal anything. And I won't be a wallet you open when it's convenient. My father shifted, guilt rippling across his face like a sudden gust across water. We're not asking for, he began. You already did. I interrupted gently, not unkind. But I'll make you an offer. One that has nothing to do with dollars. I walked to the wide window where the city stretched beneath us, lights flickering like a living constellation. The cabin, I continued, is more than a tax bill. It's the place where you decided I wasn't your real child. If you want my help saving it, you'll first acknowledge what you did, fully out loud. And you will each write me a letter, not an email, describing the fear or pride or confusion that led you to that choice. I don't need explanations. I need honesty. My mother's hands trembled. I can do that, she whispered. My father swallowed hard. And after? After, I said, turning to face them, you will volunteer. 6 months. A youth wilderness program, anywhere in the country. Help kids who have no one. Earn back, in action, what you once discarded in words. His mouth opened, then closed. Finally, he nodded. And there's more. I touched the locket at my throat, feeling its familiar coolness. You will speak to Grandma June. You will thank her. She gave me the love you couldn't. Without her, I wouldn't stand here. That gratitude is not optional. My mother's eyes brimmed, her voice unsteady. We'll do it. I studied them both, reading not just the shame, but the fragile hope flickering beneath it. This isn't punishment, I said softly. It's the only way we build anything real. If you can't agree, we part here forever. The rain had nearly stopped, leaving the city washed and luminous. My father finally met my gaze. We agree, he said. Something in the air loosened, like a knot untangling. I nodded once, the gesture small but final. This, I said, is how we start from here. Caroline, silent until now, gave me the faintest smile of recognition. She understood. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming the power of my own story. 2 weeks later, the letters arrived, cream envelopes, each sealed in a hand that had once turned away from me. I waited until evening to open them, when the city outside my apartment shimmered in the gold haze of sunset. My father's handwriting was more careful than I remembered. He wrote of fear he couldn't name back then, of a panic that made him cruel. He admitted the night on the mountain had haunted him every single day. My mother's letter was a soft confession of shame. She spoke of the years she replayed the sound of my small voice calling for her, and how she had never forgiven herself. I read each word slowly, letting them settle like gentle rain on long parched ground. The pain didn't vanish, but the sharp edges dulled. Later that week, Caroline and I drove to Flagstaff. Grandma June greeted me on the porch, her silver braid gleaming like a strand of moonlight. When my parents stepped from the car behind me, she stiffened, then, after a heartbeat, simply opened the door. We sat around her kitchen table, the same one where she had once slid a plate of cornbread across to a frightened 6-year-old. The air smelled of cinnamon and forgiveness. My parents spoke haltingly, but they spoke. They promised the wilderness program would become their second home, a place to give the care they had once withheld. Grandma June listened, silent but steady, her eyes reflecting both sorrow and something like grace. When the last word faded, I unclasped the silver locket and set it gently in the center of the table. Its surface was worn smooth from decades of my touch. "This," I said, my voice low, "is the courage you gave me, Grandma. Tonight, I don't need it to hold me together. It belongs here with you." Her hand covered mine, warm and sure. The mountain trail still lives inside me, its scent of pine, the bite of cold air, the echo of words meant to break me. But I am no longer the child left behind. I am the woman who built her own summit. I looked from Grandma June to the parents who once turned away and found the words that fit like a final note of music. "We start from here,